Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
It's an hour. I see you dressed up for it today. Look at you.
I'll tell you.
Look how sharp you look.
Yeah.
I mean, and you used to even put a Sharpie to put the swoosh on the shirt. That's great. That's nice. Well done.
Well, yeah, I learned in commercials Andy Reid draws mustaches on players. It's only fair I draw a swoosh on a shirt.
Perfect. Great googly moogly.
That's great, but who are the chefs?
Who are the chefs? Great googly moogly.
I like the other old version of the commercial where he freezes his feet to the ice.
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
that one?
Yes.
Hey, get lost, will you?
Okay. So we will start with what's an interesting topic, and that is Matt Rule's comment, State College's own, on what it takes to get a quarterback out of the transfer portal. And he's talking about NIL money. And it's in the $1 to $2 million range. Now, he claims they're not going to do it. And know him, if Matt says that, I believe him. But you look at the top, okay, let's take, for example, McCord. Good quarterback, but he's homegrown, right? J.J. McCarthy, finally, after transfer portal guy, finally Jim Harbaugh at Michigan develops his own guy. Finally. It took a long time. Right? I mean, you think of all the transfer quarterbacks he has had there over the years. Yeah. And Iowa, Houston, Ole Miss. Patterson was Ole Miss, right? And he finally develops his own guy. Penn State. Everybody in this roster is a homegrown guy. Right? Drew Aller, Bo Prabula, Jackson Smolik.
Yep.
Right? And then they've recruited two others. I mean, one's going to sign in 3 weeks. And then after that. But this is, you look at the market on quarterbacks right now. Like Riley Leonard, for example, of Duke, just put his name into the transfer portal. Sam Hartman did it last year. Did he have a good year at Notre Dame? Yeah, that's fine. He did have a good year at Notre Dame. Did he have a great year at Notre Dame? No, but a good year. You do look at the top teams in the country. Carson Beck, homegrown. Mm-hmm. Right? Okay, Michigan, McCarthy, homegrown. 3-team is Washington, Michael Penix. Remember, Kalen DeBoer is the coach. He was his offensive coordinator at Indiana. He's there. Okay? Florida State, okay, the current quarterback is homegrown. Okay? He was Mike Norvell's first signee.
Yep.
Right? Remember that?
Yes, sir.
Oregon, Bo Nix, transfer. Okay. Quinn Ewers, sort of a transfer. Sort of. He was going to go to Texas. Mm-hmm. Because of NIL, they wouldn't let him go to Texas because of the law at the time. So he used Ohio State for a year, and then he went to Texas. So that, to me, is only a sort of. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Alabama, Milroe, homegrown.
Homegrown, yep.
Right? Keep going through these guys. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Is Cook at Missouri homegrown? I think he is.
I think he's only I imagine he is.
I think he is. I think Eli Drinkwitz was able to get him himself. Now, when we get to Ole Miss, they're the cradle of transfer people all over the place.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah, Cook's homegrown.
Yeah. Yep. He went to Chaminade High School. His college career is, they redshirted him. He backed up Connor Baselick. Cook replaced him, and Cook is a homegrown quarterback. Last 2 years, they went 6-7 last year, 10-2 this year. Let's give him credit.
Yeah, played Georgia hard both years too.
They should have the game at Columbia. They should have won
that game. Yep.
72% this year, 3,189 yards. only 6 picks, 20 touchdowns, 6 picks. Really good year. But yeah, he's homegrown. So you look at the top teams, the vast majority have homegrown quarterbacks. The transfer people are Washington, Oregon. All right. And, geez, anybody else? Who's the number 8 team? That's Alabama. 7, Ohio State. No, so you're talking about Washington and Oregon are the only 2 that have transferred. Because Ewers, I don't count.
No.
Ewers, I don't count because he went to Ohio State for a year just for the NIL and then transferred to the school he was going to go to anyway. But that's it. The other 8 are homegrown quarterbacks. In the top 10. That tells you something. You can recruit right out of the gate.
Yeah.
But this $1 to $2 million thing, like, you have to be kidding me.
It's almost how I feel. And you feel like it wasn't, I think you've seen more in the last 2 years, and yeah, NIL has played a role in it, absolutely, but you've seen more in the last 2 years to where it's almost, we've talked about how college football has its place of free agency to an extent now these last few years, but really feels like these last 2 years is where it's picked up, and it's picked up especially at the quarterback position. I have always been a firm believer that just on the outside looking in, and look, these coaches have forgotten more football than I know, but I think you look at, to me, the way Penn State does the portal is the way I have always felt how the portal should be done. Is where
I absolutely agree.
Okay, you need a position here, plug them in. Get this guy here, plug in a spot to where we're weak here, plug him in here. I don't think quarterback should be one of those positions. I think, to me, that is the centerpiece of your team when you're recruiting. You've got to, in my opinion, have a homegrown quarterback. Now, look, Oregon may win the national title. Washington may win the national title and completely silence me. But I think, to me, quarterback is that one position where you really should have a homegrown guy, because I think it's sending the message as a recruiter to, hey, this is the guy I brought in to help win a national championship. This is the guy I brought in to be help be the face of the program. I think, to me, it has always been about homegrown when it comes to the quarterback position. But the last 2 years, you're slowly seeing what Matt Rule is saying, and it's baffling that it's $1 to $2 million. But I would not be shocked if Riley Leonard ends up at Notre Dame. They're going to need somebody. I think that's one spot where there's a good chance he may end up.
Right. This is, and he's only an example.
Yeah. Yeah, one of many.
Everybody's looking for quarterbacks.
Sure. Yeah, Oregon will be doing it next year. I think there's a good chance.
I don't know about that. They've been recruiting guys.
They have been, but it's...
I mean, because if Bo Prabula continues to stay in the program...
Yeah.
Right? No, I don't. I disagree with you about going to get a transfer quarterback, because they've been getting... They have one that's set to sign in 3 weeks, and they've got another guy they've already verbaled.
Oregon has?
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking about Oregon.
State.
No, I'm talking about Oregon.
Oh, Oregon's going to have to.
I'm talking about Oregon.
But remember the circumstances for each of the 2 transfer quarterbacks, right? Michael Penix went with Kalen DeBoer, his offensive coordinator at Indiana, after an injury-plagued career at Indiana. Okay?
Right.
And in fact, his last injury was, unfortunately, here at Beaver Stadium. Yeah. Okay. Bo Nix essentially was, excuse the terminology, but run out of town.
Pretty much, yeah. He lost his job.
Right.
And,
so
absolutely.
Where did he end up going? He went with his quarterback coach from Auburn at Oregon, who then became the head coach at Arizona State this year.
Yep.
And then Will Stein came in, but Nix was already on. But those are the only 2, right, that have gone through and are transfers among the top 10 teams in the country. You look at Carson Beck. Carson Beck waited his turn. Milroe waited his turn.
Sure.
Okay. And it's paid off. It's paid off for them. So there they are. You're sitting there, and I mean, Beck, he's looking around DeJuan Mathis. He's looking at J.T. Daniels. He's looking at Stetson Bennett. And he waited. Okay. Drew Aller played behind Sean Clifford. Second year, okay. There's Bo. Bo's been patient for 2 years. I'll never forget Miles Sanders. Never forget Miles Sanders. He's in that room with Saquon Barkley and waited his turn. And then it paid off. Was he his second-round pick?
Yeah. Yep, second-round pick to Philly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Had a big year, went into the draft. I'll never forget, that guy waited his turn. Nobody waits their turn anymore.
No.
Right?
No, and it's
and you've got to be smart about what you're doing. So let me tell you about Donovan Edwards. Did I tell this story the other day about Edwards and Corum?
I don't think so.
Okay. Edwards was going to transfer at the end of last season. Corum's the guy. Corum's coming back. The whole thing. And finally, some people talked to them, and the example they used was the Penn State situation.
Mm-hmm.
Nicholas Singleton, Katron Allen. And if you go back in time in the NFL to a Hall of Famer by the name of Terrell Davis, Terrell Davis played at Georgia, but he didn't get a lot of carries at Georgia, and his work was a little more limited at Georgia. Thus, when he got to the NFL, his legs were fresh. This was not a guy that was beaten. That's why I always was interested to see how Jonathan Taylor was going to run in the NFL, because Jonathan Taylor got used and used and used and used at Wisconsin.
I think that's a big reason why. Benny Snell was undersized, but I think it's a big reason why he didn't do much more in Pittsburgh.
Right.
He was used quite a bit.
Right, quite a bit. It's the guys that are fresh coming to that you have to have talent to start out with. But when you look at how fresh they are, that's appealing. And I think they finally appealed to Donovan Edwards on how look at Allen and Singleton. They're both going to keep playing, but they're going to get to the league, and they're still going to have a lot of mileage left to play. And I say this with all due respect to Blake Corum, was a fine player. But in the National Football League, Blake Corum is going to be just another guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's undersized.
Very undersized.
Okay, which is okay because he's powerful.
Yep.
But that's all he does.
Yeah.
He's not a great receiver.
No.
He's not any of the, they don't use him in the passing game with good reason. The better pro prospect by a wide margin
Absolutely.
is Donovan Edwards.
Yeah.
He's because look, it's a different league. It's like saying, I don't understand why Zach Edey isn't the first pick in the NBA draft. They don't play that game.
They don't play that game anymore.
They don't play that game.
10 years ago, he would have been. Yeah, they don't play that game
so
anymore.
he is
it's a guards
not
game.
he's not really a draftable player.
Right.
Same thing with here. Corum will be drafted. He'll be drafted somewhere. Corum's probably a third-day draft pick, right? May make a team, whatever. But Edwards is going to be the guy that's going to be a higher drafted guy, is a guy that they're going to salivate over as to the kind of player he can be. He is the better pro prospect of the two. Size, speed, hands. You can split him out as a wideout. There's a bunch of ways you can use him. Corum, you can only really use him one way, and he's limited. All right? But they finally said to him, he said, look, be smart about this. I mean, be smart about this. And then, and go from there. And he ended up staying. Now, did he have a big year? No, because he was banged up a bit. That's the one negative about him. But
still a lot of things in these last 2 years that you will see on tape about him that is making him draftable. Absolutely.
A lot of
completely.
A lot of
you go back to the Ohio State game last year.
Right. A lot of great
absolutely incredible. Yeah, and with Corum, I 100% agree. When you are at 5'6" and 5'8" anymore, you have to be that guy is going to absolutely wow pro prospects. There aren't many Barry Sanders anymore. There are very few and far between.
Sure, that's right.
And that's
but
where
he's exceptional.
Yeah, and that's what you have to be when you're that size, because we're at a point now in the NFL where durability is going to play a major role in how long in if you're going to be drafted or not. And that's going to be a concern when it comes to corner because of his size.
I mean, look at Singleton and Allen this year.
Yeah.
Singleton this year was on the field for 435 plays.
Yeah.
Allen was on the field for 403 plays. That's a difference of 32 plays. That's a difference of 2.5 plays a game.
Yeah.
So instead of Singleton or Allen combining for 838 plays and just having one guy get 838 plays, they split it. And the difference was 2.5 plays a game between the two guys. They're both fresh. All right. And it's, sure, it's not like you don't take a beating. Everybody takes a beating. Especially that's why this week is so invaluable.
Right.
Because this is the kind of week where you can okay, and start at least the body can start to heal up a little bit before you get back into practices this weekend.
And I use the example also. Look at USC in 2004, 2005. Obviously, Reggie Bush was the second pick in the draft, best player in college football, hands down.
Lendell
White was a guy that was drafted in the second round. Man, he was a guy that was not used as much as Bush, but he was able to show his skill and fit to the NFL.
Yeah,
fit to the Titans for a couple of years.
So as for the $1 to $2 million on quarterbacks, back to the original point. Okay, you need one to go, no question. You need to have.
Absolutely.
And people are looking for an experienced guy.
Yes.
Right? And this goes back to who's the one that made it popular to do this? Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Okay. So you sit there, and is it worth it to have a quarterback that has experience? Yes. Is it worth $1 to $2 million in NIL money? You got to be kidding me. Because again, the top 10, 8 have homegrown quarterbacks, and again, I don't count Ewers.
No,
because that was a special circumstance as to why he hung out at Ohio State for 6 months.
He also, and Nix is another one where you talked about it. He went with his quarterback coach. So familiarity is another part of it there. Right. Yeah, he's obviously playing for somebody he's played under before and can adjust to it. You're bringing in a quarterback that is not entirely familiar with your style, not entirely familiar with who you are or what your approach is. That's a huge risk. I really did, especially at that kind of $1 to $2 million. My goodness, it goes back also to the point of the concern that is going to linger in college football until we see it. It's going to reach the point, and I am all for these athletes getting their money. I'm all for it for all their likeness, but you've got to, at some point, reach stability in NIL. How you do it, where you do it, I have no idea, but there's got to be a point where you reach that fine line and say, okay, here's what has to be done to make this a stable and acceptable and operating form of, you say business because it is a business at this point, but right now,
have you noticed that?
Yeah, just a bit.
Yeah,
you have to at that point reach stability somewhere, because it's going to get out of control and it's going to be a major concern.
Look, again, when you have, we'll stick on the NIL part of it for a moment. When you have an organization like the NCAA, which has, let's be honest about it, lost in court at every turn, you then become, quote, gun-shy about putting rules in. Now, they should be putting in rules and looking at the rank and file and saying, hey, look, this is what we're doing here. Okay? And that's, but they're not doing it.
No.
I mean, they're not doing it. And so now they're going to rely on the federal government to do it. Really? By the way, they put out what the college football playoff schedule would be. Penn State would have played on Saturday, December 20th at Texas. Okay. Based on these rankings. Just so you know. Okay. I give him credit. I give him credit for having fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
this season also explains why you need that. I think this season, without a doubt.
But back to NIL, they're counting on the government to do that,
which they shouldn't be doing.
No, I mean, okay, this is not going to be a federal government rant. It is not.
No.
Everybody knows I don't do government rants. I may take a couple playful shots here and there, but that's not me. I'm not going. I don't talk politics on the show because this is a sports show. But here would be my issue with NIL, with the government enforcing it or coming up with the rules. That's not their area of expertise. No. Okay? In other words, this is not like doing a budget appropriation for the Commerce Department. This is not like doing a budget appropriation for the Pentagon. This would be putting rules in place about college sports voted on by people who are not experts on college sports. See where I'm going at? In other words, this is not their... Okay, they're... Like, take Chris Murphy, the senator from Connecticut. He's a big sports fan. He's not a little sports fan. He's a big sports fan. So, look, I can understand, like him wanting to put together legislation and so forth. But you got a bunch of people in there that don't know really much about the workings of sports, how it's supposed to go, how the money is distributed, things like that. There's, in other words, I'll give you an example. Why should football get all this money? What about the other sports? Well, football funds the other sports. Now, if you're involved in the business of intercollegiate athletics, you know that.
Absolutely.
Right? You know that. If you're not in the business of intercollegiate athletics, right? And I use this example all the time. And again, this is not in any way, shape, or form to in any way take any shot at the single best collegiate program in the country, and that's Penn State wrestling. It's the best.
Yep.
Kale is tremendous. Yep. It sells out, the whole thing. But the bottom line is, based on last year's expenditure versus revenue numbers, the last numbers that they were put out, they lost $1.2 million because they don't have the TV and the radio deals and things like that. If a program like that is just the platinum standard. The platinum, not gold, it's the platinum standard of sports, is losing $1.2 million because of how the business of sports operates. And again, I'm using the expense versus revenue numbers from last year. If that platinum, that gold mine, is losing $1.2 million because of the TV, radio contracts, things like that they don't have, well, what about women's basketball, which loses more?
More, absolutely.
At every school across the country, it loses more. Don't get caught up in what you're seeing on TV. There's a reality to it, and that's a reality that people voting on NIL in the Senate and in the Congress, there'll be a lot of them that don't understand all that.
Right.
Right? And they'd be voting on rules on something they don't have a complete understanding of, as opposed to a sports organization putting their own rules in place, right? Which I would prefer. But in the end, Congress is probably going to be the one to do it because the NCAA has abdicated it, and they keep begging Congress to do it. So back to the 1 to 2 million, right? Everybody needs quarterbacks. I got that, but 1 to 2 million? Okay. It's not like Carson Beck put his name in.
No.
It's not like J.J. McCarthy put his name in. It's not like Drew Aller put his name in. It's not like Quinn Ewers put his name in. It's, it's not like Jalen Milroe put his name in.
Even Kyle McCord,
or
for that
Kyle
matter.
McCord. Yeah. Right? Who of the 10 would be the one I probably would rank 10th.
Pretty close to the bottom, yeah.
Right? I mean, out of the 10, I'd rank him 10th.
Pretty low.
All right? And that's not a knock on him.
No, he's not
I
developed enough yet.
I went into the Ohio State game saying he's a good quarterback. I can see on the tape he does some good things.
Mm-hmm.
I left the Ohio State game after watching him in person and said he's a good quarterback and do. My mind was not changed at all. Wasn't changed at all. But that's absurd. Now look at Arkansas. Arkansas, which unfortunately for Penn State, peaked under Sam Pittman in that Outback Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And Penn State, that was the one bowl game where Penn State did not have a lot of people participate. That did not help the cause. And since then, Arkansas has been okay.
Right.
So they bring Bobby Petrino back to be the offensive coordinator. And we all know how that ended for him there. Yet, he kicked around with the Falcons.
Yeah, Louisville.
The Falcons. And then was it Southwest Missouri State? He was with the Bears, right?
Yeah. Yep,
right?
yep.
And he brought them in to play Arkansas. And in the fourth quarter, he's got a shot to win. I mean, the game is neck and neck. Despite off the field, which you can have a lot of questions about, the guy on the field can coach.
Yes.
Okay. So, Arkansas, Sam Pittman got a reprieve and kept his job. Okay, because some people thought he might go after the Missouri game. So, and he was told before the Missouri game he was staying. But they want to get the offense going. So they hire Bobby Petrino. So last night, Arkansas is playing Duke. And Musselman has a good team. I mean, they came into the game 4-3 last night. Okay, so they've had a couple losses early. But look, there's a lot of the elements of the team that I saw in person out in Des Moines because they were the game against Kansas right before Penn State played Texas. He's got some athletes on that team. Yeah. Well, they're 4-3 though. They got out to kind of a rugged start, and they're playing Duke. So the place, Walton Arena, is sold out. Now, Arkansas won the game, 80-75? Does that sound right? Right?
It was 80-75, yep.
80-75, yep. And they stormed the floor. Okay. Again, what I always said, you beat Notre Dame in football, you move up 22 spots. You beat Duke in basketball, you move up 22 spots. It's always the perception, well, they beat Duke. They beat Notre Dame. All right. Yeah, it's like, okay, let's not get too simple here. But they stormed the floor.
Mm-hmm.
They have counted that between 10 and a dozen times during the game, they were chanting Bobby Petrino's name because he was at the game with Sam Pittman. Now, what's his job going to be? His job is going to be to bring in a dual threat quarterback, right, and make it work. That's going to be the job at Texas A&M.
Oh, yeah.
The job at Texas A&M for Mike Elko is to bring in a dual threat quarterback. I don't think he's going to bring in Riley Leonard, his guy from Duke.
I don't either.
I think that's where Jimbo really struggled down there. Jimbo not once brought in a dual threat quarterback to play, and he kept bringing in transfers. Hunter Johnson, he kept, maybe the best quarterback he had was the guy he inherited, Kellen Mond.
I was going to say Mond is probably the best, yeah, without a doubt.
The guy he inherited.
Yeah.
But that's where people, they are looking around saying, okay, we are going to, we're going to bring Bobby Petrino back. That's how people are looking at offense right now, that they've got to somehow, some way.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right? And Arkansas is saying, we know Bobby Petrino had a tough time, but okay.
Yeah, no, I think it also tells you the pressure these coaches are under to win games. I think there's no question about it.
Yeah, I know. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. There's no doubt.
You're sitting there going, okay.
I'm pretty sure the Falcons will never I'll never say never, but never under any circumstance welcome Bobby Petrino into the Mercedes-Benz Dome. I'm fairly certain on that one.
Yeah. That tells you a lot when something like that happens.
Oh, there's no doubt. Absolutely. And then, look, we've seen in sports before forgiveness. We have seen forgiveness we never thought we'd see.
Okay.
It's what makes sports sports.
You want to know what creates forgiveness? Winning.
Money and winning.
We think we can win. I forgive
winning
you.
And money.
I
do a lot of things. You betcha.
We're winning. I forgive you.
Yep. You betcha.
I just don't do it again. Okay. Oh, goodness gracious. So now time for 49 good San Francisco seconds on a week where your team plays the Philadelphia Eagles.
Biggest game of the year, without a doubt, for them so far. Absolutely. It's a measuring stick, and I'm looking forward to just the game itself because the talking has been completely ridiculous at this point. And it's not only the players, it's the idea of radio hosts for both ways going back and forth. It's just, let the two teams get on the field and play the game.
Yeah, but that's always the issue. In football, that's always the issue.
Absolutely.
And because football brings with it that natural, you have, it's a week between games.
Yeah.
So you spend all the time. Talk. All right. And it's interesting that, obviously, I'll listen to James.
Yeah.
Every week. I do not in any way, shape, or form even bother to listen to opposing coaches during the week anymore. They don't say anything.
No.
Now, the bowl situation, I'll, maybe a little more time I'll check out because it's going to be a team I don't know about. Do I need Jim Harbaugh to tell me about J.J. McCarthy? I see J.J. McCarthy every year. I don't need him. There's enough video. I can look at it myself. I don't need him. That's not me putting down Jim Harbaugh. I'm just saying I don't need him to tell me about him. I can see it for myself. I don't need Ryan Day to tell me about Kyle McCord. I can see it for myself. And Jack and I, so I don't usually listen to coaches. People say, how about the bulletin board material? Bulletin board material? Who cares? Okay, guess what? Your talking's on the field.
That's exactly right.
Just get up and play.
Exactly right.
Hey, I was watching SportsCenter last night for the first time in about 8 months, and I was for 5 minutes, and they had Kyle Shanahan talking about Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni talking about Brock Purdy. And they both said nice, glowing things about each guy, which they should. But that's it.
Right.
And
the NFL has done more so for this game than they have any game this year. Has moved everything possible out of that 4:00 spot to say, okay, you guys are watching this game. Sure. They have flexed every possible game that is competitive to this game into the 1:00 hour and brought an uninteresting 4:00 game to say, hey, we have a game at 4:25 that is going to be a monster rating. So obviously the Chiefs and Eagles brought it, and now 4:25 on Sunday. There's no question. You have a rematch in the NFC Championship, and yes, controversy creates cash, I guess you could say, and I think that's what has happened really in this last year, obviously, with what happened in the NFC Championship, with what's happened since. There's no question about it. That's going to draw viewers, the casual viewer in. But absolutely, it's going to be a monster ratings for the NFL.
Yeah. Well, it should be, look, these are two of the top teams.
Yeah, there's no question.
After slumping, the 49ers have come back. I don't think it's any coincidence they've come back because they were able to get their players back.
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
They have players who were out.
And that was huge. Trent Williams, I think, can't be underestimated what he does on that line.
Just because with the Eagles not having Goddard as
that's been
you can
big.
just see just by not having him has kind of changed a little bit of the dynamic, even though it's one guy.
Yep. And I think you could argue offensive line. And they missed Lane Johnson last week. I think they missed Juergens a couple of weeks previously.
Yeah, Lane Johnson obviously is terrific. He leaves early all the time, but
oh my goodness, I'm glad you said it because there's no question. Yeah, he's
No, that's my biggest issue with the Eagles.
Yeah.
Right? Other than the fact, I think they're good.
They are good. They're real good.
They're really,
they're one of the best
good.
teams. Any team that finds a way to win the way they do consistently,
they find
they're a good
ways
team.
to win. I appreciate that, but I don't like how their games are officiated because I feel like they're getting like an inordinate number of breaks on officiating.
Dolphins game and the Bills game both.
Dolphins game, the Bills game, you're like going, right? The Chiefs game.
Yeah.
In the Chiefs game, I mean, we thought Watson contributed, and so did Kelsey to all the drops. Okay, that's part of it. But you look at the officiating in that game, you're like, I don't get what I'm seeing here.
Yeah.
Right? And then you watch Lane Johnson. He's always
false start.
I'd be flagging him false start left and right because guess what? You are leaving early. And here's the problem. Everybody can see it. He's not the right guard leaving early. He's the right tackle.
Right.
Everybody can see it. And it's like that's why I've so told people. I said, they're an 8-3 team there now. That's happens to be 11. What are they? 10-1.
10-1.
10-1.
They clinch this week for playoff. Yep.
And they deserve to be in the playoffs. They're really good. I mean, there's no getting around it.
Yeah,
they're
one of the best
really
teams.
good.
There's no question.
They're a really good football team. I do agree with Tom Brady, and I talked to Jerry Dulac about this yesterday. Who's on the Steelers Network and Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. I said, Jerry, what do you think of Brady's comment? He says, I totally agree with it. I said, yeah, I've said the same thing for 2 years now. The league is homogenized. The league has the injuries to quarterbacks have made a big difference in this perception.
Yes.
I said, but I don't feel like there's not a lot of juice to it. That's why when you look at teams that are different, they stand out. The Ravens stand out. My goodness, do the Dolphins stand out? Everybody else looks the same. Yeah. Oh, no, the Eagles they look the same as everybody else. They look the same as, Hurts will run once in a while, but he'll slide. Right? It's like he gets what he needs. He's smart about it. But it's not dynamic or exciting to watch.
No, the Dolphins are. And the problem with the Dolphins are when they are tested, they're a much different team. I think that's.
But they're still exciting to watch.
Absolutely, very exciting to watch.
It doesn't mean you're winning every game, but doggone, they're fun.
What amazes me is when you talk about the best receiver in football, you bring up Jefferson, you bring up Chase for good reason. They're both incredible. Tyreek Hill can't be stopped. The guy can't be covered. He showed it in Kansas City. He showed it in Miami. If he retires in 2 years, I think you're going to be sad for the league. Yeah. This guy is good. This guy cannot be covered.
Speed. Waddle's got speed. No. Tua. They run interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing about
running
Kansas
the football.
City. It's one thing about Kansas City.
Yeah.
They run interesting stuff. Yeah. With Andy Reid. Interesting stuff. Where it's fun.
Yeah.
Right? Well, who else in the league is having fun? Nobody. The Steelers? Fun? No. Detroit? No. I like Detroit. Dan Campbell has been winning because that's what his team does best. I have no problem with anybody picking out what they do best to win, but they aren't a fun team to watch.
No,
right? The Bears aren't fun. The Packers aren't fun. The Giants and Jets aren't fun. The Patriots aren't fun. The Texans to a point or a little bit. Jacksonville maybe a little bit, but Miami's fun. Baltimore's fun.
Baltimore's fun with Jackson. Yeah.
Right?
There's
not a lot of fun out there.
No, there isn't.
Right? There really isn't. Denver's been winning, but they're not fun. Dallas is winning. They aren't fun.
No.
The Eagles win. The Eagles are methodical. They aren't fun.
No.
And that does, again.
No.
They're winning.
Yeah.
So I am not putting down how they're winning. I'm talking about the entertainment value. If you're an Eagles fan, they're winning. It's entertaining. I got it. Totally. It's your team. That's why you love what they're doing. If you were just somebody who's tuning into a game going, oh, great, it's the same old stuff they always run.
Yeah.
What did the Eagles do that's intricate? What did they do that's intricate? Nothing.
No.
That's what the college game is. More fun, more exciting, more wide open, more of everything. Right? That's why the college game is just so much more appealing and more fun. You have some teams that will run the option. You got some teams that will run the RPO. You got some teams that have a drop back quarterback. You've got all these different styles out there all the time. And let's face it, the same caliber of athlete as the NFL does.
No.
So you got some people that aren't as good at certain spots, and that's what makes the matchup part so exciting and intricate. Right? Yeah. And you don't have a guy not blocking and is turning around and walking away in a fumble.
Yeah.
Because guess
100%.
what? Guess what? It will be next man up. There's 125 people on the roster. I'll put somebody else in there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you could probably... You could throw the 49ers in there to an extent because of Purdy. I think obviously that's a story that is intriguing, and it's entertainment based on the fact that this guy was a 7th-round pick. This guy was Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah, but he's a drop back guy.
He's a drop back guy. Absolutely.
The exciting element for them is the way they use McCaffrey.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's and the way they use Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, Deebo.
That's where the 49ers become fun and exciting. How Purdy plays in terms of, I'm talking about entertainment
value. Yeah.
Is not fun and exciting.
No.
He's a point A to point B quarterback.
Yep.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Because he never runs.
No. The only time he's running is if he's under pressure getting away from it.
Right. Like anybody. Josh Allen's a fun quarterback to watch.
Yes.
Because you just don't know what he's going to do.
Agreed.
But
very underrated for his mobility. Very underrated. And he showed it in the Eagles game. He showed you how tough he is to bring down.
He's tough. He's tougher than nails. But the Jets quarterback situation is one of the reasons why the NFL does have a homogenization problem, and that is because they finally get Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of excitement around Aaron Rodgers.
Speaking of which, practicing already, it's remarkable. I can't believe that.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah,
absolutely. He may not play.
I don't know if he will either.
The Jets are on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, where he's at in 3 months just is amazing.
But the NFL put a TV schedule together with the idea that he is going to be playing in these games. And the schedule was put together months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So now America is stuck with primetime Jets, primetime Jets, primetime Jets. No Rodgers, no Rodgers, no Rodgers. Right now, Tim Boyle is their quarterback. All right? We've been stuck with one game after another with no Aaron Rodgers, where the Jets defense, which is really, really good, is not allowed to pay it off. But we have to, we don't have to sit there and watch it. People are not sitting there and watching it. They're like, I don't want to see the Jets. Right? Because, again, the Jets, there is no excitement to watching that team. Zero.
No. Not with how inept that offense is. My goodness.
I mean, zero excitement. It's like being an Iowa football season ticket holder. You're like, oh. Hey,
that's accurate.
Hey, kids, how about let's celebrate Bobby's birthday at the game. No,
let's see this offensive exhibition right here.
I want to go have fun.
You scored more Sun in your Pop Warner game than this team has in 3 games.
216 points this year.
Unbelievable.
The goal was 325.
Jets can't be much higher right now. They are bad.
They're brutal.
They're bad.
And I'm just these are all comments made from the entertainment side of it, not from the winning side.
Yeah, I don't disagree with the word he said. I think Brady's right on.
Again, this is from the entertainment side.
Yes.
Not from the winning side.
Right.
Winning for your team is entertaining.
Sure.
But what
For the casual fan.
But for the casual fan, what brings them in is the entertainment part of it.
Sure, they want to see Randall Cunningham throw to Randy Moss on the first play for 80 yards. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. And look, Tom Brady is going to be under scrutiny because, look, was he the beneficiary of a lot of things in the NFL? Sure he was.
Of course he was.
So was Peyton Manning.
Yep.
But I think to me, these comments are right on if you listen to them. To me, I think he's absolutely right.
Right. And again, I'm talking about the entertainment side of it. I am not talking about the winning side. If it's your team, you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, this is the most entertaining team going. They are fun. They're great. Why? Because they're winning. All right? And they're also winning, to their credit, in a wide variety of ways.
Yeah.
They're winning late. They're coming from behind. They've had 4 times, the last 4 games have been behind at halftime, come back and win. Great. But from a neutral observer side, the neutral observer side is There's nothing about them that really makes you, okay. The matchups are exciting.
Sure.
Kansas City,
Yeah.
right? Buffalo,
Buffalo's
San
better
Francisco.
than 6-6. Yeah.
But I was kidding. He says, "Hey, beat Buffalo." I said, "They beat the 10 seed." Really? Okay, so bowl predictions. Okay. All right. Here are the bowl predictions as of, I think, right now. The Action Network is Penn State in the Peach Bowl against Tulane. Athlon Sports has Penn State in the Peach Bowl against Missouri. CBS Sports, Jerry Palm has Penn State in the Peach Bowl against Missouri. College Football Network has Penn State in the Peach Bowl against Alabama. Kyle from ESPN has Penn State in the Cotton Bowl against Texas. And their other ESPN expert has Penn State in the Fiesta Bowl against Washington. So there you go. In other words, nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Okay, so...
And me on the outside looking in, I don't see Penn State playing Washington just because you're going to have that matchup next year. I think if you can avoid it, look,
Why?
Fiesta Bowl can take a team. Absolutely.
What? The Fiesta Bowl?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Fiesta Bowl can.
Are you kidding me? It's preview of coming attractions.
Yeah. Fiesta Bowl is.
No. That's the reason I would take it.
Yeah.
Guess what? This is like the first Big Ten game. Here we go.
Yeah.
Right.
And
I mean, that's that.
Right.
That'd be one of the reasons I'd take it. Texas and Penn State in the Cotton Bowl. All right.
We're taking a heartbeat.
Right.
Sure.
Because the Cotton Bowl is not getting the Group of 5 team.
No. Nope.
They had it last year.
Yep.
You don't get it 2 years in a row.
2 years in a row. No.
So they're not going to get that. The Group of 5 team is either going to Atlanta or to Phoenix,
Right.
or as Jerry Valeri in our staff calls it, Pahonix. I'm like, Jerry, no. How do you get through the staff meetings? I don't understand you do that.
History has told us the bowl game that the people predict the most usually doesn't happen. It happens sometimes.
Last year, everybody thought they were going to the Rose Bowl.
And they did. Yeah. I feel like if everything plays out the way it should,
I don't know.
People
are asking me, and I tell them I don't know.
I honestly don't know either. You never know who's going to take who. I think it's almost a complete given that the Orange Bowl, if this team is not in the playoff, is going to take Ohio State, but they may not. Yeah, that's why.
I think under the arrangement, they're supposed to have a Big Ten team,
and then it's going to be
3 out of 6 years.
Yeah, so Ohio State,
something like that. I think that's the way it works.
Yeah.
And Louisville they're getting a gift for goodness sake. Sorry.
Louisville has, the incentive is to knock an undefeated team off, but Louisville's in the Orange Bowl no matter what going into this weekend. That's the way Louisville approaches it. But bowl games are, they're always, what you can predict. It's
I think most of them you can predict. Most of the predictions they have now, especially for the other bowls, are right there. You just...
I think if it plays out the way it does, what makes the most sense is the Peach Bowl, but again, you don't know.
I don't know.
They've not played there. I think that's part of it.
That is part of it. That's one of the reasons why they want Penn State. They haven't played there yet. It's the only one in the New Year's Six they've never played in.
And when they haven't won, too. That's another one.
The what?
The only one they haven't won, I believe, the New Year's Six. That's what I mean. The only one they haven't haven't played in it, but also the only one they haven't. Also, they've won the other 5 is my point.
Right.
Yeah, they haven't won. That was my. Yeah.
You want to know why they won the other 5? They went there.
Yeah, that helps. That certainly does.
Normally a prerequisite to having a shot.
That's how it works. But that is my point, though. It's the only one they have. I'm saying they won the other 5 is where I'm going with it.
I know where you're going. I'm giving you a hard time. I know that. They
haven't won the Peach Bowl. It's almost like when Joe went to the Rose Bowl. Didn't win won all the major bowls. Other than that one, wins that one.
Yeah. So.
But they've not played there. I think if everything plays out the way it should, it makes the most sense. But
we'll see.
We've seen stranger things happen in the sport.
It's about the matchup more than anything else. That's what I'm more preoccupied with what is the matchup. So this weekend, Texas plays Oklahoma State. And yes, that is Kirk Bowman's son and quarterback for Oklahoma State, Alan Bowman.
Yeah.
Texas is the prohibitive favorite. Oklahoma State's a strange team in that you don't know
you have no idea.
when they show up. When they show up, they're really, really good.
Yeah.
When they don't show up, they're really, really bad. And Gordon, especially after halftime, Ollie Gordon after halftime has gaudy numbers. His first half numbers are really kind of like, okay, I don't know.
I agree.
You've got Oregon, Washington. That's a playoff game. So one's in, one's out. The winner is in. The loser goes to the Fiesta Bowl. I got it. So that's pretty much settled there. Or to the Cotton Bowl, one of the two.
Yeah, it's impossible not to put one of those two in the playoff if they win. Okay. I agree 100%.
So you got that. Michigan plays Iowa, prohibitive favorite. And let's face it. I mean, they are the prohibitive favorite.
I would be thoroughly shocked if Iowa wins that game.
Georgia, Alabama is going to be really tight. That's going to go to the wire.
I agree.
That's unpredictable. And that's what makes that game exciting because it's going to go to the wire. To be honest with you, if Alabama were to win, the beneficiary could be Texas.
Big time. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
Because, again,
this is the
Alabama fan cannot say, well, we beat Georgia. They go, excuse me, but Texas went to your stadium and beat you by double digits.
Yep.
Just like, Texas and Georgia would have the same record. Guess what? I don't have much to go on here, but Texas won at Tuscaloosa on a neutral field in the state of Georgia. You lost.
Convincingly.
Right?
Yeah.
On the neutral field in Georgia, you lost.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be, we're Georgia. Well, whoop-de-doo. I don't care who we are.
This is also, this is the first time in probably, I'd say, 3 years that if Georgia loses this game, I am not sure they're a slam dunk to get in. I think last year,
Florida State becomes a wild card.
I agree.
Right? They should beat Louisville.
Yep.
But they're a wild card in that they don't have their starting quarterback.
Yeah, Travis.
And that does play a role
Big
in
time.
this. Say Alabama were to beat Georgia, and say Texas wins. Say Georgia stays in it. Florida State might be 5.
If Georgia stays in it, I think Texas does. There's a good chance.
Florida State may be 5, and guess what that means?
Yeah.
They'd go to the Orange Bowl, and Louisville would be out.
Yep. Yeah.
It would change a lot of things as to who's playing whom in the games if Alabama were to win and Florida State were to win.
Yeah.
It could change where Florida State as an undefeated team is not in.
Yeah, and the other thing to look for also is if a team doesn't win, the performance. You go back to when Wisconsin played in the Big Ten Championship a couple of years back.
Yeah,
nobody had that team in the Rose Bowl, and then they go out, or nobody had that team in the BCS Bowl. Well, in the New Year's Six Bowl. Yeah. At that time, and darn near pulled off the upset. Yeah. Suddenly they're there. Penn State's in the Cotton Bowl. So and that's you never know.
You don't
until it's all said and done.